All right. Well, this morning we get to have our very own Ron Llewellyn back, who is going to fill in for Susie and share some things that are working for them. So, Ron, just take it away.
All right. So a lot of the things that we've been doing here with our North Carolina team is really on, and I have jotted down some notes on my phone, so I'll reach back to them. Is basically building our relationships and our business through events. And I'll interject some of the ideas that we've scheduled, and I'll tell a couple of stories, and I want interaction from you guys to bring out some of the ideas of events that you have done, and possibly events coming up in the next month to share with the team. Some are virtual, and of course some have to be physically in your area. So let me get into those. One thing we have been doing here is we've really been focusing on planning out events for the month. And the brainstorming here has been between Susie and I, Molly, and oh gosh, who am I thinking of? Miss Curves. I'm trying to. Marie, thank you. Why can't I remember Marie? But anyway, we've been doing a lot of events, and we've been hosting those events between our own homes, usually Molly's home, our home, and then Marie luckily has Curves, and so she has been doing events at Curves and not at our home, which actually gives you a different flavor. So do look at home events, but then if there are opportunities to do events at a business or a business area, do look into that, because it does give you a different flavor and potentially a different audience. Because I think some people aren't always interested in coming to someone's home. They actually feel, I guess, a little more neutral if they go to more of a public place for an event. And I'll talk about that with Meetup as an example a little bit later. But some of the events that we tend to schedule, usually it's every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, depending on your schedule. Sometimes it's every week, just depends on how we all match up. And again, you can look at your team or as an individual doing this. The biggest topics that we've been doing, of course, are salad in a jars. Just last Saturday, we did a breakfast in a jar, and I've actually had 2 of those so far, and they've been great. I've never really had oatmeal that is cold, and I actually had the one that I had built. I did it, and I ate it cold. Bobby, you need to go on mute. Buddha bowls, potluck dinners, smoothie tastings, energy balls, book clubs, Bible study, coffee and conversation, wine and wellness. Those are some of the topics that we have scheduled either at our home or at a business to kind of just get those conversations going. The vast majority of those, as you would know, are Juice Plus events, which we do share our stories, but in no way do they have to be. As an example, a lot of our potluck dinners that we have done with friends, there is discussions on what you do for a living, but sometimes, it's again about building relationships. It's not always about sharing your business, because sometimes, as a lot of Teen Zers understand, you want to build the relationship to be pretty strong before you really start introducing the business to some individuals. But let me share one story, and then I want to open up with you guys with another idea. But I just had a recent result where, again, I was using the Team Z technique with an individual that had dropped their Juice Plus order. And just through different conversations, I had been communicating to her about about why, and it was more of a financial situation with her of why she dropped her Juice Plus order. But through messaging conversations, I was really never able to get her to the point of ordering until she finally attended a salad in a jar party. And at the end of that salad in a jar party, she was totally open about reordering her Juice Plus again. So that I think a lot of times it's just that face-to-face kind of conversation. And it's not always with me. Like I was having the conversation with her, but that conversation about reordering really was between her and Susie. So a lot of times we do a lot of tag teaming, which I know some of you don't have that benefit that we're both in the business, but that was a situation where I do believe being more face-to-face is much more effective. So if you can find events, and again, an event can be simple face-to-face conversation with somebody, all the way to having some sort of get-together with 30 or 40 people. So don't just think it's a big, huge event like a salad in a jar. It can be just one-on-ones. But I do want to open up right now. I've listed quite a few that we have done. I'd like to hear from a few people just understanding what other topics have you scheduled or created events around.
Well, we've done a tower talk where we
Mhm.
invited, it was Bobby Coleman, Ember Olmsted, and I out at Ember's house, did a tower talk where Bobby and I tag teamed that event and back and forth on everything Tower Garden, how to put it together. I've even got notes, so if anybody decides that they want to do one of those, and it was a really fun event.
Mhm.
And it was interesting because Sheila came. It was really the only opportunity. We were doing events all that weekend with them, and it was the only opportunity I was going to get to see Sheila and her mom. So I invited them just to come, just so I could see them. It was really just about building that relationship. But they were so impressed with what they saw, and then we started talking Juice Plus privately, and that's that's history now. And Sheila joined our team as a result. So that was a lot of fun.
And that's an excellent point. When you're doing an event where there's access to a tower garden, some of those events just naturally lead to it, such as a salad in a jar party. When they're at my house, I try to time my lettuces so that I can harvest and at least have, because if it's a big enough group, you're not going to have enough tower garden lettuce
Right.
to supply them. So you're going to have to get some lettuce at the store. But I used to always provide a bowl of tower garden lettuce and then other things. And then, like you said, a lot of those conversations at the end of the party, salad in a jar, whatever it is at your home, my tower gardens are right outside my patio, and it leads to those conversations.
And the great thing about having it, if you've got tower gardens, grow it and let them taste it, because people are just blown away at the difference in the flavor.
Mm-hmm.
How much better it tastes.
Yeah, and I grow a lot of mine to give away.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I've done with many families in my neighborhood when they're walking by, and my next door neighbor, is I've told them, have your children come over here and pick their own cucumber, watch. And I'd tell them, I said, grab the cucumber and twist it, and they just they pop right off. And they always, many times they always say, my child never eats cucumber, but as soon as he picked it, he wanted to eat it. So that's a perfect example. Anything else before we move on?
I did a one-on-one with somebody who, if I would have judged this woman, I would have said she has no money. She lives in one of these HUD homes. She's a senior, 83 years old. She was having severe reflux problems. And so I took the products over to her and started talking to her about, what things are acid, what things aren't, and how you can get fruits and vegetables, in your body. And she ordered the trio and the omegas because I had them with me. And this woman can't eat food anymore because her acid problems are so bad.
Yeah.
So she had a problem, and I had a
Mhm.
solution for it.
Mhm.
So that was the event.
That's it. Yeah, and that's a face-to-face, and anything face-to-face, I would say, I wish there was we kept stats of the percentage of success face-to-face versus anything else, and by far it would be very significant that the face-to-face would always get you your goal. Um, One thing I mentioned, and I'll move on at this time. Susie and I were looking at creating our. Go ahead, Bobby. You're muted.
I got you, Bobby.
Okay. I wanted to mention this before you do move on.
Okay.
We have neighbors next door to us from Burma, and I didn't know how to communicate with them until we were on the driveways just a few days ago, and one of the girls does speak English. They are growing their own produce out their back door, different containers. So I invited her over to talk about the Tower Garden. She said that she couldn't afford it. They're living with their in-laws, and if it was hers, she might do that, but she ended up ordering the adult chewables for herself, and she's nursing. So, it was a one-on-one, and then I have something else that I'll share in time here
Okay.
about her.
No, that's exactly right. Just because we're tower gardeners, we are gardeners. So I constantly have conversation with other gardeners, and I don't, somewhere in there I talk about my tower gardens, but I meet them when they're at, because many of them, they're very happy with their container gardens or their raised beds. But we're all gardeners. We're all interested in controlling our own produce. And so I praise them for that, and we have those conversations. And yes, you just always assume it's going to lead to further conversations about that.
Ron,
Yes.
Lisa and I got together a couple weeks back, and we had a plant-based facial party, and that
Yes.
was a great time. And I've done it before myself, but I looked on YouTube, and there's a couple videos out there on how they have done it. So we incorporated some of those ideas. There was 5 of us, and we all picked whatever capsule we wanted. So some of us were green, some were purple, and some were peach colored. And then afterwards we put the omegas all over our face, and our faces felt awesome. It gave us an opportunity to have a great post on Facebook afterwards to generate some additional side conversations. But
Right.
I would say more so than anything, it was a great relationship builder and lots of laughs. And then tomorrow, Lisa and I are also doing a customer appreciation by the pool. And Lisa has a membership to a private pool. So we're going to get together and make a couple of shred recipes so we can have those to share tomorrow at the pool, because there's still time to order. If they get their order in tomorrow, they could shred starting this next shred on Monday. And so those are a couple things that we did and are doing this month.
And Laura, you hit on 2 things that are part of my topic. One is, when you have an event, capture it in pictures and post it on Facebook, because just like Lori did, she captured it in a picture, and every event you need to somehow capture it in some sort of picture and communicate it, because that's going to generate interest for your next event and your next event. And then naturally, the other thing Lori is able to do is she's having one event that is going to potentially generate the next event, such as she's having an event and her goal is to get them to do the shred. And so if you have your events scheduled out and they're on your calendar, when you're having the conversation with the person about whatever it is that's in your face at that time, you have this event that is coming up that it will naturally flow out of your mouth, that you're going to say, hey, we have a breakfast in a jar party. Hey, Friday night, we have a motivational speaker at the PJ Regional at 7:00. Would you like to join us? Hey, I have a salad in a jar in 2 weeks. Are you interested in doing that? If you have these events already booked, time, date, location, those are going to naturally flow out of your mouth in those conversations. But if they're not set, I don't know if that's going to always pop up in your head. But Lori, those are excellent points that you made about capturing them in pictures and having that next event for you to be getting them to. And the shred, you're right, starts on a Monday. Another idea that I brought up is Susie and I kind of looked at the meetup. I don't know if everybody's knows about Meetup, but it's a website to get people into groups of like interests and hobbies. And initially we were looking at being actual hosts or organizers is what they call them of groups. But we decided to step back and not be the organizer, but I did join a couple of the groups. And that's just an idea. It's a pretty good type of website for if you live in a place that has, and I think they say if you have 40,000 or greater, it's really good. I'm not sure like Cozad or something like that if Meetup would always generate a large enough group, but Jake, you could tell me if it does work in some way. But looking at that with Meetup, like in my case, I joined some groups that are about outdoor activities for hiking, paddleboarding, festivals, biking, walking. And so we're doing a lot of those things, but it has community groups, church groups, volunteer groups, and then interest groups based on that. And so I wanted to show you another story of mine. I don't know if you saw a couple of my posts. Is one of the interests that I had is Manu, my son-in-law, and I have been playing ping pong. And we kind of got sick of playing each other in ping pong because we just, there's the two of us. I was getting real sick because I think he beat me 8 games in a row at one time. So I just got the idea, again, looking at an interest group, is I posted, we have a Nextdoor app. I don't know if everybody's familiar with Nextdoor. Nextdoor is an app that can link multiple housing areas. Omaha, I'm sure, has Nextdoor app that you could link multiple housing areas, and you can post either in your own neighborhood, or in my case, I can post to 11 neighborhoods in and around me. And so I've done that for salad in jars, the breakfast in jars, but in this case, I posted it for a ping pong tournament. So I started hosting, and I did it last Tuesday, and I'm doing it this Tuesday, and I'll be having 8 to 10 people show up for a ping pong tournament. Again, this is not Juice Plus specific. This is just a bunch of guys and gals that just are getting together to play and eventually, crown somebody champion at the end of the night. But that's my example. And so I'm building those relationships with that common interest of ping pong. And, it seems to be doing very well because, I had no idea how many people would show up, but to me, 8 to 10 seems like a pretty good crowd. And you never know, somebody else might host it that has a ping pong table too. But my setup is pretty nice because I do it in my garage. So I just remove both cars, and there's a lot of room inside the garage just if it was raining. The only thing we have to deal with is the heat because tomorrow it's supposed to be 91 degrees. So it's going to be a little bit of a sweaty kind of event. But I think the biggest thing I jotted down is, find ways to get out of the house. Susie and I have this conversation all the time because too often having the freedom of working from home can transition into being a hermit. Because too much of us, we've taken pride of being able to do our job from any place to including working from home, but it can also promote us to being a little too much of a hermit. So try your best to get out of the house. So let's talk about how have you found ways to get out of the house and have face-to-face conversation with people. So let's open that up.
Well, I'll just start real quick. Going back to the relationship building and realizing that I've put on a little weight and I've been avoiding going out and taking walks. I invited a girlfriend to go take a walk. And then the next week I invited another girlfriend. And now I invited another girlfriend. So there's 4 of us now that get together and walk every Tuesday night. And I have invited another friend. She can't come for a couple weeks, but that has been great. We've gone 4 times, I think, so far. I did get 1 trio order, but she's just been following me for a while on Facebook. I think the other 2, whether or not they do or don't, it's the relationship part. And at some point they will. But so that's what I've been doing.
That's a great one.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Go ahead, Bobby.
Ember and I hosted a salad in a jar party back in June, and everyone that came loved it so much they've started hosting their own salad in a jar parties, and we've had like 2 or 3 a week all through July. And it's not me standing up there for 3 minutes talking about Juice Plus, but I'm going and I'm meeting new people and I'm networking with them. I've had a lot of new friends on Facebook. Just had some really good conversations with people. So I'm building those relationships. Some of them have asked me. I've given away a couple complete samples as a result of going to those salad in a jar parties, and I've just I got some follow-ups to do this week on that. So I've definitely what Ember and I started has grown into something big, and it's definitely been a good relationship maker for me.
No, that's an excellent point, because I know at the end of our salad in a jar parties and a few others, we tell our stories. We talk about our mission in joining our community, but then at the same time we do say, if this event is something you would like to host, we would have no problem coming to your home and organizing it, because we know what we're doing. I mean, we do. I mean, we know how to organize events because we do them all the time. And that's where you gain that experience. Salad in jars, breakfast in jars, and things like that we could do with, in our sleep. But some people, they want to do it at their home, but they don't always know how to organize it. And so you just volunteer that. And that exposes you to new people, because now they're going to have their friends there, because you tend to invite the same people. So that's an excellent point. Anybody else?
Yes, Ron.
Yes.
This new lady that, well, she's a young lady that I just signed up yesterday from Burma. I said, well, we should get together sometime, because she was telling me about spring rolls, how to make spring rolls.
Yes.
And I said, well, we should get together and you can teach me how to cook some Asian food. And she's very into organic. So I thought I might suggest at some point that we get together and she can teach me how to do something. She could invite some of her friends. And then another time we get together, I can show her how to make some American food. So I'm trying to build a relationship with this young gal next door. And I think she'll eventually become a rep.
Yeah, food is a common bond. We're sharing recipes through culture. Oh yeah, that's a huge thing. You get somebody from Korea or Vietnam or wherever, and they start telling you about spring rolls or their fresh summer rolls, and yes, say, hey, let me come over to your house and show me how you make those. And Susie's very good at seeing something one time and being able to duplicate it at our own home, as an example. But it's a great idea. Anyone else?
Hey, Ron, I wanted to give you an attaboy about bringing up Meetup, because I joined Meetup several years after my husband died. I was just ready to get out and see people,
Mm-hmm.
and it was great. And I met this woman who looked familiar to me, and she was actually someone who went to the church around the corner from me, and we both like to dance. And so we were going to these meetups, and these are like festival get-together things, and they do everything. And this one is called Baby Boomers, and this is a post-50-year-old group. And a lot of these people, I was on the young end, and so was she. But a lot of these people are 60 plus, and they just want to go out to dinner and lunch and festivals with people because they're retired. So I got this group, and there she was, and she had lost her husband about the same time that I did. So she and I have become best friends, and she, of course, became a Juice Plus customer, and she had an autoimmune disease. So I would never have run into this woman if I would not have joined the meetups. And I've met so many great people in these vegan meetups, big boomers meetups, and there's more and more coming all the time. So I don't go to them all the time, but I come and go, and I don't talk about Juice Plus right away, and I don't unless they ask me. So I love meetups. Yeah,
it's an excellent app just to kind of give you an understanding of the interest in your area. You can type anything in there, and it's going to pop up groups or events, and then you guys, of course, you have to commit to go to those. Any others?
Well, mine wasn't anything that I organized. There have been things that, like Darren did the Tour de Nebraska bike ride, and I went with him to support him. And as I went, it was back west in western Nebraska, so Sheila and Bobby and Ember lived there. Bobby had to work all that week, so I didn't get to spend time with her, but Sheila and I got together and did some one-on-one conversations with some of the people that she was able to get to meet with us at a restaurant. And then we went back 2 weekends ago for a town festival. And oh my gosh, it was so much fun. And we actually ended up volunteering. It was where Darren grew up. And so he grew up with all of these people in a little tiny town. I can't tell you how many people live in Morrill. It's a really small town. But we volunteered and I got to meet all of these people that I don't remember ever meeting before, but I developed relationships, became Facebook friends with a lot of them. My father-in-law now has a lady friend, which is so sweet, and he loves his Juice Plus. So he was telling her about it. We got to meet her for the first time. She's now a Juice Plus customer, and I'm really hoping that she's going to join us in this mission. She was a very successful business person. So sometimes just getting out, like you said, I became a hermit over the winter. Our winter was so brutal here in Nebraska that I didn't want to go outside, and so I didn't when I didn't have to. And then I became depressed and withdrawn. And so now I'm going out and I'm bike riding and I'm posting all of that. And you talked about posting that. I have so many people that talk to me now in town about my cycling. And so I'm thinking I need, listening to this, Lori talked about getting together, meeting on Tuesdays to walk. I need to do something like that, meet people to bike. I think that would be really great. So yeah, definitely getting it out of your house is so important.
Yeah. And then just being transparent on social media is to really not be shy about, and I always say a picture speaks 1,000 words. So to me, if you can capture in a picture, it means a lot. And, naturally we know that's how tower gardens are sold, is through pictures. And then of course, touchy-feely when they walk out on your patio and look at it. But I can see we're kind of running out of time, so I kind of wanted to just run through a couple of events that I see coming up. Some are virtual, so that you can do any of these at home, and then a couple of them are physically going to some location. So tonight, going right along with this topic, if you saw Carrie and Mickey Daigle posted that tonight at 9:50 Eastern, 8:50 Central, how events double and triple your income. And I'll, if Jake hasn't already, I will post that flyer in Team Ignite. But he talks about the number is 319-527-3417. and I'll post the flyer. I know it's a black and white flyer that he put together, and that's tonight. So again, that's talking about the same thing we're saying here. That might give you more ideas of how to develop events that can increase your income. And then on the 31st, if many of you have been adding teachers to the Teachers Lounge Facebook group, if you're not familiar with that, I think we've communicated some of that to us. That was originated, I know, from a distributor here in Charlotte that we've done some events with. But it's Teachers Lounge Facebook group, and they're doing an event with multiple speakers on July 31st. I cannot remember when that starts, but I'll try to get the details on that. But it is perfect timing because teachers are starting to prepare for the upcoming school year. Here in Mooresville, they've shifted our school schedule to start earlier so that it finishes earlier. So it's perfect timing for us now. We used to start a lot later. And then I'm touched upon the PJ Regional. I know that Dr. Jen is hosting in Omaha. We're hosting here in Mooresville. And I'm not sure if anybody else has purchased their subscription to that. But that is the Friday night, August 2nd at 7 p.m. That's the Personal Growth Equals Professional Growth with Natalie, is it Baldock? Mm-hmm. She's that Australian. I mean, she spoke multiple times. She's always a good motivational speaker. And that one is to invite anyone. So something, and I'll give you a Team Z term that I've used before, is when I come across somebody that I always say is my dream team or potential. Anybody that you see has the potential of being on your team, I label in a Team Z tag as dream team. So that when I come across an event like this, like would they be interested? I look at my dream team and invite those individuals to this, because this is the Friday night event is for anyone. And then Saturday, which starts at 10 o'clock Eastern, I guess 9 o'clock Central, is the all-day training, or not all day. I think it's till about 1 p.m. And that's for all the Juice Plus distributors. So again, you invite them to Friday, and then you invite them to turn around and join you again on Saturday if they're interested in joining the team. So that's the PJ Regional. Then there's the Kansas City Regional, August 16th and 17th. So that would be a physical event in Kansas City for everybody to join. Susie and I will be there. If you recall, we are flying in to attend that regional. Then we're going to go up to Omaha, August 17th through the 19th. And then we're coming back to Kansas City to dog sit for Grace and Isaac, because they're going to Alaska for like a vacation, but it's also kind of like that's where they went for their honeymoon. So they're kind of re-honeymooning and going around there. So we're dog sitting, and then we're coming back. So we will be in either Omaha or Kansas City during that time. So we would love to have some face-to-face with some of our distributors, and for you guys to create events around that. We're going to be in town, so create an event around us being in Omaha the 17th through the morning of the 19th before we come back to Kansas City. We have some powerful stories. I have a powerful story. Susie has a huge business story, which can be wrapped around my story. So build events around that. Come to the Kansas City Regional. So those are the things that I have seen in the last 3 weeks. I know we've gone a little bit long in this recording, but any other Q&As or
one more thing I want to add, that we've got the big one, the big rock that we all need to put in our jar is the Juice Plus Live conference coming up in Austin, Texas, October 17th through the 19th. And on the 17th is a nutraceutical conference. So anybody who needs credit unit hours, or whatever they call it, CEUs, It's a great opportunity to invite them to come. They don't speak about Juice Plus at the nutraceutical conference, but they do get a free conference ticket to come to the conference, the Juice Plus conference after that. But I've heard really, really great things about the nutraceutical conference, how fantastic the information is. And so this could be for doctors, dentists, massage therapists, anybody whose business or their profession could benefit from teaching their people or them learning more about nutrition.
And it's always perfect timing. It is always Thursday morning before anything gets started in the Juice Plus conference Thursday afternoon.
Ron, I've got to tell you guys, if you don't know who Joel Fuhrman is, I've gone to every nutraceutical conference that I could go to. They have, like last year, they had the Caldwell Esselstyn, the #1 plant-based surgeon who has reversed heart disease for so many people. Joel Fuhrman is the head speaker this year. He wrote that Eat to Live famous book, best-selling book. He's a best-selling author. They've chosen him at Whole Foods to be their guru. They sell all his books. I have all of his books. He's an amazing speaker. So if you can get to Joel Fuhrman, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing to hear live in front of Juice Plus distributors. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, and in Tampa, it was David Katz, and he did an excellent presentation. I've listened to many of his presentations. I don't know if you have seen and he's done it multiple times. He starts his presentation off. I guess you would say it's like a rhyme. Have you ever seen him do his little rhyme? Yeah. And there was one conference, I watched a video in this conference, and he did it for like 20 minutes. And I mean 20 minutes of him doing a rhyme where he's doing his presentation, and it's all on word plays. And I mean, it's an awesome presentation.
And his information is all science-based and obvious. And it's good stuff.
Yeah, and he's a huge Juice Plus supporter. So I've always followed him, and he's on LinkedIn, and he does a lot of articles on LinkedIn that I've also shared in Facebook too. He does use a lot of 4-syllable words when he writes. So man, you've got to really be concentrating on what he's writing, because the man is very intelligent in what he knows.
And guys, the price of this too. This is only $25 for you, because we pay $125 to get into the nutraceutical conference. Yeah. And then you only pay $25 because they allow you to use your Juice Plus membership.
That's right.
This is incredible.
Yeah, you pay for the nutraceutical conference, and then you automatically get your ticket to the Juice Plus conference. So yeah, it pays for itself. That's for sure. Yeah, the only hard part with Susie and I is they always schedule the NMD, the 2-hour NMD meeting, like right. So we're always scrambling to run out of one across, because it's not always in the same building, you know. That's the only thing that's bad about Thursday for us. But other than that, but it's fun because, you know, you're just excited about going. But that's all I have. And I know we've run a little bit long, but I think it was a great conversation. So I hope you got a lot of great ideas. And I'd love for a lot of your teammates to get together, brainstorm, and put down events on your calendar. Start looking at August. What are you going to be doing in the month of August? And I know we've been doing that here in Mooresville, and I hope you guys can do it in your area. So thanks everybody for joining, and I appreciate all your input in this meeting.